Myrtle Beach has 60 miles of the world's greatest beaches, and the rest is history. And that's Conway. And that's this morning's topic. Stay tuned. Carolina People's coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at People's Underwriters in Carolina Forest. We're focused on what this morning's guest terms the home of Myrtle Beach, Conway, South Carolina. And we're visiting with Larry Biddle. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Greg. How are you,
I
sir?
had to give you attribution, fine. I'd like to take credit for that as I live in Myrtle Beach now, and we're highlighting the home of Myrtle Beach.
We are. That's correct. But
Conway.
you can use what I've always used, you know. First time I give you credit, after that it's mine.
and run with it, that's right.
And run with it, absolutely.
And you've done that before, and of course doing it again. And what about the new look? This is tremendous.
Oh, it's exciting. It is absolutely spectacular.
When's it going to come into play? When's it?
Well, it's already started.
Is that right?
It really has. We had the consultants in, almost a month ago, end of February. Actually, it was kind of funny. We leaped on the 29th of February. Which was leap day, leap year, so we said, let's leap forward, and that's what we did. But, you know, the power of it, and we've been talking about it for far too long. Right. When you look at the city of Conway and you know, where she started and where she went and where she is today, you know, a lot of us were going down different roads together. One of the things that I have encouraged folks about is, look, we all want quality of life, we all want a better community, but we got to learn to market this town, because the philosophy, not only in Horry County and in the city of Conway and even the state of South Carolina and across wherever our visitors come from, the philosophy and the concept was bypass Conway. 501 bypass,
right?
And now we got 22 bypass.
Thoroughly.
Everybody's bypassing the gem,
right?
Full of history, full of beauty, full of oak trees, lots of unique pieces, the railroad, you know, on and on, the river. And so we said, you know, and it really is good, because the city of Conway this was done with a lot of grant money and cooperation between basically four groups and some corporate sponsors. The city of Conway,
right?
The Conway Visitor Center,
okay,
which was a piece. Conway Main Street, which has now recently been accredited by the National Historic Trust.
Right.
First city in the state accredited.
The first one in South Carolina?
First one in South Carolina,
right.
yes, sir, nationally accredited. And then the Conway Chamber of Commerce. And those four entities said, you know what, yeah, let's come together, let's work together, let's stay together, let's get it right once and for all. Let's really brand our town, let's do market analysis, let's look at how do we get the word out about how powerful this town is and how charming it is and what unique things it has. So that's how it began. And it's exciting. It's, you know, they unveiled it on the 29th at the new library on 9th and Main.
Right.
And it's already going to be, we've already used it for Downtown Goes Uptown.
Yes,
a week or two ago, I guess. We used it, some of the logos, and on purpose, you know, because they're stellar. And it created some commonality and a font that everybody can use. And everybody can, you know, plug in and do their thing, but it has a consistent look, and that's the real power of it.
Absolutely. I'm going to hold up real quick here. I don't know if viewers can get a good feel of that, to get a sense just, obviously the thrill is using, as we see in this next shot here, the sea. Share with viewers, can you get that good? Share with viewers a little bit about...
Yeah, you look there and you see how, there's a piece about downtown, there's a piece about the visitor center, there's Main Street, there's the city itself, Parks and Recreation, public safety, and so forth. So each piece has its own individual image, but it's part of the greater whole, because all those pieces are in Conway.
And they all feed off of that sea.
That's right.
And you've got the little S below the sea. What is that?
That's the river.
The river.
It's
excuse
the
me.
sea,
Of course.
the bottom of the sea becomes the river.
Right.
Waves of the river, or the currents of the river, and it's a river town. It's a historic South Carolina river town.
Right.
Since 1732, is a while ago.
Right. 1732.
Yes, sir. That's when it was the town of Kingston, and then became Conway Borough. The funny one, I just loved it because it really showed that we were all ready. There were 80 people in the library to unveil all this because they'd had workshops and focus groups and 2 public meetings and working with every group you could have. And so Ben Muldrow got up, and he's out of Greenville. And the consultants, Randy Wilson, who's the historic state architect, has a firm and put together a team to come in, and
Right.
they were there 4 days, and kind of sun up to way beyond sundown. I mean, those guys are working 11, 12 o'clock at night.
You can tell, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. And he got up and he said, well, we looked at the city of Conway's seal, and said, it has 6 dates on it. And everybody's going, oh, yeah, it really does. It has Kingston, Conway Borough, Conway. It has the outline of Horry County, because we are the county seat, which
Right.
is nice.
Sure,
That's
of course,
good.
yeah.
He said, but that seal in today's world just doesn't work very well. He said, the only good thing I could find about it was with all those dates, you could celebrate something every 3 years, which is really powerful.
Yeah.
And everybody
yeah.
went, oh, yeah, yeah, you're right. So they came up with this one, which is
Yeah,
just
let me hold
stellar.
that
I
up.
mean,
Yeah.
obviously the oak tree and
Right.
and the town clock, which are 2 of the major icons, and then
Absolutely.
the new moniker, the new font with
the river off
with the
the
river
sea.
rolling through the O, just powerful, and
It is.
Everybody's very pleased.
You've got to be overwhelmed and possibly even emotional, just the excitement to think. In Larry, our director, Donald Smith, who of course is very intimate with Conway and has lived there much of his life, is highlighted that this has not been a 2-year, 5-year, 10-year process. This is something you all have essentially been working on for 3 decades.
Yeah, it really is. You have to. I mean, to get those 4 entities.
Right.
The timing was proper. The city has been looking at, and this is what kind of triggered it. The city was looking at the thoroughfares and the entrances to Conway, and the website. There's 139 slides. I mean, they had professional highway planners, and how do we get off 501 and come down Marina Drive, and how we get what happens at 16th Avenue. See, there's nothing that tells you what's going on over here. Everybody's got their blinders on, and they're headed to the ocean, and we're not against that.
Sure.
Conway couldn't handle the 14 million tourists, and we just couldn't handle it. It would overwhelm us in a major way, but a couple % we can handle.
Sure.
That's kind of where we are. But anyway, so getting them all together, the city was ready, the visitor center was ready.
Right.
As was Main Street. Main Street's office is in the chamber, so we work together.
Oh, great, sure.
And I've done some workshops for Municipal Association of South Carolina with other Main Street programs, and it's not always the case that the chamber and the Main Street program work together. Sometimes they see themselves as adversaries, which is not healthy.
And unfortunate, in
And
whatever
very
communities
unfortunate.
that is. Right.
And, in our case, most people who join the chamber also want to join Main Street because the unique thing is the uniqueness of Conway and its history,
Right.
which is a magnet, and brings a lot of people there. So it was the timing was right.
Right.
Everybody was together, and everybody took some grant money that we all had, and we pooled it. So because it's not an inexpensive process to have this many professionals, 6 or 8 of them, in your town
Right.
for 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
Early in the morning till late in the evening. But that's how they came up with what they came up with. So it launched. We launched it 2 weeks ago with Downtown Goes Uptown. We put it on in our program.
Right.
It's getting ready to launch with this because we're currently underway in Conway is phase 3, Greg, of the Riverwalk.
See, right. Tough for
And
the city,
we
but
got
still.
some signage. One of the things we found, and they noticed it immediately, Conway doesn't have wayfinding signs, is what they call them in the vernacular.
Right.
And so you can get people come over the historic bridge built in 1937. They get to Main Street somewhere down in there, and they say at Donald's wife's Park Smith shop, and they say, "Where's the river? We didn't see the river." Well, you drove over it. Oh, it's back that way. So 3rd phase of the Riverwalk has a lot more signage, gateways, at Main Street, which we pretty much have, but Laurel and Elm.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and all these new signs and banners and wayfinding things, it tells you where the parking is.
They will make a world of difference.
Oh,
they will make a world of difference. You know, we spent all last week filming at the Government and Justice Center. And if you don't think there's groups beyond just these four you're talking about,
oh, yeah.
212,000 square foot facility there, where everyone in the county is coming together as the centerpiece. There are a lot of folks that should be and would be, and throughout the county, interested, even though the 11, 12 district, the councilmen and women are focused on their own areas. At the same time, they've all got to be focused on the well-being, the strength, and the constant focus on Conway, and should be, because they spend enough time there. But that's a beautiful gem for the city.
It's gorgeous.
And to know that all the attorneys essentially have to come through, whether they're at the beach or otherwise, they've got to focus on Conway. You could potentially even wrap in more groups interested in the future and the focus of Conway.
Oh, and we will do that because, you know, the grant money that we had was to get all this study done.
Right.
And it's not just graphics. I mean, they did market studies, they did highway design, they did entrance design and so forth, pavers and all kinds of stuff. Really, really stellar. And so, but now we got to launch it all.
Right.
You know, I mean, it just doesn't launch by itself. You have to launch it. So we said, well, let's launch it on the new banners. Let's launch it at Main Street. Mm-hmm. We'll launch it for the Jazz and Arts Festival coming up.
Right. Of course, round the 4th, not far off.
Round the 4th,
sure.
Right after that. There's a logo there for that. You know, they created that already.
We've got one for also what's on your vest there.
Coastal Carolina University,
which is thoroughly a part of
Conway, South Carolina. Founded in Conway.
Right.
One of the things we talked about is, you know, what's left of the original Conway High School on Laurel Street has got the arch, so we think it's appropriate to have something there, a monument or something that says this is the home of Coastal Carolina University, founded in 1954 in the after-school hours at Conway High School. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we haven't done that. We got to anchor that. That's very important. Mm-hmm. And yeah, a lot of people said, we need to tie together Horry Georgetown Tech.
Right.
And they're going to do that through the culinary arts.
Which is in Conway as well.
Which is in Conway.
Yeah.
And we want to tie in Coastal Carolina University as well. So two pieces as well. And the, you know, the Conway Medical Center is part of Conway.
Right.
Has its home in Conway and now is out. But it's still in the city limits now because they expanded the city limits. So
I'd find a way to utilize those groups, piggyback on those groups, their marketing arms and their very extensive marketing arms to continue to build the C with the river coming into the O there. I'd take advantage of all those groups who are oftentimes, and they're building brands that have a C in them as well. Coastal Carolina University, obviously Conway Medical Center, they want to wrap around that. I'd find a way to even talk to them about, you can't do much with the Coastal logo or I guess the Conway Medical Centers, but making sure they wrap around this image is critical.
Yeah, they certainly can, and you know, it's the synergism is just unlimited, and that's the power of where we want to go.
Even right here where we are, here in Carolina Forest, which is a budding Conway now. Of course, a lot of folks think of this as West Myrtle Beach.
Right.
You think of Conway as the home of Myrtle Beach. So there's nothing wrong, as you said, with taking advantage of a lot of surrounding groups. I know everyone wants to keep focus on their own community, but golly, this is the county seat. You've used a date that folks can't even think of, 1732.
Exactly.
Which is critical there. Well, you know, there's so many things, and obviously having the common theme and the four principal groups all working together and knowing that this has been a 30-year process. Obviously seeing the strength of Conway Main Street must be thrilling for you.
It really is. You know, Main Street's, when they did the national accreditation for us 6 months ago now, I guess, and one of the things they're very impressed with was the number of memberships that we have, because the funding for Conway Main Street is part city, some grants, but it's mostly memberships. It's like 1/3 city and grants, and it could change 60-40, but the predominant, the financing part is memberships of corporations, and you know, it runs from $100 memberships for interested citizens to $250 to $500 to $1,000 to $2,500 benefactors. So it's a tiered membership with benefits and so forth. And but it's very impressive. We have 150 members who believe in what we believe in. And I did a workshop in another city in the state, and they don't have any memberships. It's all funded by the city. So they said to us, gee, we wish we had members because we'd have ownership
Oh, yeah.
in the
Oh,
process. And so that's powerful.
Right.
Of course, we have to keep all those folks together, but you can do it. And all of this united them. I mean, this is what was so powerful.
Absolutely, and we'll only get stronger
That's
as
right.
this is rolled out. And as you say, seeing the flags in downtown, saying whether you're heading to the river or otherwise, seeing those flags in downtown, it's only going to get stronger.
And they picked up on a couple of pieces that are just absolutely brilliant, in my opinion. Okay, I was telling them about, you know, when the planners came several years ago now to look at the riverfront in Conway, they said, one of the things they said was, what a unique opportunity. Because in Conway, South Carolina, being a river town, you did not take the urban grid to the river like they did in Savannah, like they did in Charleston, like they did in Wilmington.
Right.
Last week I was in Baltimore, like they did in Baltimore. Took the urban grid. They said Conway did not, and that's, you can thank the Burris family who had lumber yards down there and never let the urban grid get beyond 2nd Avenue. They said you have an opportunity to let this river walk meander. They picked that up like big time. Meander in Conway.
Look at that.
Just
yeah,
powerful.
Yeah.
I mean,
There
just
we go.
powerful. And that's true.
We can pick that
You
up.
know? Just meander.
And it is
Great
that way.
word.
And we've done that. A lot of folks come down for multiple reasons. I was down there about a month ago, and it was amazing spending the day walking around Conway just to get a good feel and popping into different locations. Popped into the mandolin store
Yeah.
and saw Jennings Chestnut there.
And then they picked up on something we've all heard 1,000 times, a million maybe, walk on water. Well, you know, some might think it's a miracle. Might call it a miracle, but in Conway we call it downtown.
Look at that.
So they took the Riverwalk idea
Yeah.
and created walk on water, which obviously you can do. You know, and that Riverwalk
And for a
is not
good while. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's not
And-
just a
and we're
little
expanding
sliver.
it.
Sure.
Now you're going to be able to walk all the way down, come around the peninsula to the north of the bridge,
Right.
and that whole piece is under construction as we sit here, and walk over there and go on Kingston. So now it's really, this whole new one is about 1.3 million or 4 to change that. Then they came up with this, discover our river hospitality.
Wow, look at that. Yeah,
So, you know,
I think I've
y'all
seen
come back.
that, y'all come back somewhere, Larry. Where have I seen
that's
that?
That's down at one of the Burris Company. That's the Lower River Warehouse,
Right.
built in 1880,
Near that restaurant.
on the historic
Sure.
restaurant next door to the Sidewheeler.
Next to the Sidewheeler, sure.
And that building, by the way, when they built it, was so low. At Hurricane Floyd, it had 38 inches of water in that
Oh,
building.
yeah, I had to.
So that thing
had
was-
to.
So we can't do a whole lot in there. It's a great place for
No,
festivals
I
and
bet.
reunions and that kind of stuff. I love this one. In Conway, the trees have the right of way.
Look at this. We're handing
is
these
really
off. Look at this. We should have
phenomenal.
Larry holding those up, but it's just as...
Yeah, which is very true.
Yeah.
You know, the trees do have the right of way. The roads make way for trees.
Throughout, yeah. It's not just... This isn't the only example. I mean, it's throughout.
No, we have over 200 oak trees, most of them with names.
Right,
On May 4th, we're naming the one at the library.
right.
That's kind of exciting. And then I love this one. This one is
There we
called
go.
536 spaces, and they're all free.
Now, share with viewers that. There are
Yeah,
that
you
many-
know, that's how many parking spaces there are in Conway. Of course, we hadn't told people how to find them. That's part of the wayfinding problem.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
sure.
And there are lots of them, but we haven't shown you where to go. And people will find them if you tell them where they are,
And they are free year-round.
year-round.
Now, come on.
Totally. Year-round free. There's no...
The Herald just a couple weeks ago had parking meters on the cover highlighting the expected $1 million that'll be raised in the city of Myrtle Beach, obviously, from the parking meters.
Sure.
this,
Oh, yeah, I know it's a source of revenue.
this summer, which is, but that is not an issue there in downtown Conway.
No, that's a source of quality of life. You know?
Not to take anything away from the city of Myrtle
No,
Beach, but that's a
fine.
great
It's
highlight.
just a different way to look at it.
For absolutely,
You know?
to be there and to be able to experience that, and for folks to come over, as you say, just taking a point or 2 points,
Yeah.
2% of the 14 million folks visiting the greater Myrtle Beach
Because the
area.
perception is we don't have much parking. Well, the answer is we have a lot.
Right, right.
And one of the things the consultants did was really stellar too. They took the imprint of the Walmart store and parking lot and overlaid it on downtown, and it took up 2 full blocks
Oh, yeah.
from Laurel, you know, to Main,
Right.
and from 3rd to 4th. I mean, the whole thing. And you think, gee whiz, holy smokes, yeah, you know. So we got to work on the perception. That's
Right,
all. And,
right.
and that kind of billboard does it. You know?
Larry, I don't know how you do everything you're doing. I mean, you talked about being in Baltimore recently. Of course, Easter weekend's just passed. I know down on March 11th, I think you were down in Costa Rica, was it?
That's correct.
On a bilingual conference. Of course, Quinces 5. Last time we were together, we were over at the Coast Carolina Association of Realtors, and you at the time were the person putting together the inauguration of Dr. DeCenzo. How do you slow down? Aren't you a Murrells Inlet Creek rat? I mean,
I am. We go down there right after Easter.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do. And we're very involved at Easter time. I mean, the St. Paul's is very involved. Jenny's
just
in the
this
choir.
Past weekend.
This past weekend. And so we had all those events, and it was great. And I always tell my grandchildren about the Easter chicken.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because,
what about the Easter chicken?
Yeah, the Easter chicken. I mean, the Easter chicken does all the work. Bunnies just are delivery. It's like UPS. It's UBS, United Bunny Service. They deliver stuff. But the chicken has to lay those eggs, right? So you have to give the entrepreneur his or her due diligence.
I love it.
Due recognition. But I always tell the grandchildren about the Easter chicken.
Don't forget the Easter chicken. That's right. I'm going to have to use that with Emma Claire now.
You can use it.
Next Easter. I'm sorry, Easter is come and gone, but we will definitely take advantage of that next Easter. What about this conference down, and how often do you do bilingual conferences? We're talking about Spanish.
Yes, sir.
Spanish, which is one of your great loves, and partly the reason you met the love of your life.
Yeah, that's how I got here, studying languages. But yeah, we had about 50 folks in Costa Rica at a very nice country club, like the country club of the whole country. Very nice in San Jose, in the capital. Had people from all walks of life. We did the quintessential system presentation.
Right.
But they're very interested in their schools, so I did some Renaissance while I was down there.
Right.
Showed them the power of the carrot principle, as well as some things that we've all learned from Toyota and how they became a world-class company.
Right.
And did a piece. A lot of my experience with learning as leadership on the West Coast, I unfolded for them. So
that was a multi-year.
Yeah, that was a one-year thing for both of us.
Sure.
A big piece of, I guess what I told them were insights. But it's, all my slides are in English, basically. Although I think because of the impact we had, a couple of weeks ago, that we're going to go ahead and translate it all, because it was great, received well.
Right.
Because you see the slide in the PowerPoint in English, but I'm talking about it in Spanish and using examples in Spanish.
Oh, come on. You're doing all that in Spanish, Larry.
Yes, sir.
You're that proficient in Spanish to be speaking to Costa Ricans
I'm bilingual,
in their native language. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it's a challenging deal. We started at 8:30, finished at 4:30.
Right.
So it's pretty intense.
That must be. Now, you get caught up on some nuances of the language. I mean, are you that proficient?
Well, when I get stuck, I just ask them to help me.
Right.
And they say, oh, it's this or it's that. Because language nuance is circumstantial always.
Right.
It's never literal, because you send them down the wrong highway. Yeah. And I'd get stuck, and somebody would help me. I said, I'm going to get stuck on something. Because my Spanish is Castilian, so it's a little different in Spain. It's kind of like Britain and the U.S. And so if I say something wrong or I got stuck, they say, oh, no, así se dice, eso, es otro.
I love it.
Rendición de cuentas is how you say accountability.
Listen up. That's how you say accountability.
Yeah, rendición de cuentas.
That's hilarious.
Keeping account is how they do it.
Now, of course, you taught Spanish here locally, Conway High School,
right.
And I believe at Coastal as well.
Yeah, Coastal as well.
Do you ever see any of your former students, Larry, that kept up with Spanish, or even got as proficient or more proficient than you?
I do. I see both sides of that coin. Some who paid attention to what I said to them in those days, that this language will be valued to you someday.
Right.
Because I grew up in California, and I could see what was happening out there.
What would happen, sure.
I lived there. And so I told my kids, in 65, this is going to be a valuable language in your lifetime. And some of them believed, and some of them didn't believe. The ones who believed, like Bonner Guidera, who went to Spain, she's bilingual, married a Spaniard. Right. Phenomenal teacher and educator and bilingual. And some who I find and meet, who say, Mr. Bill, you were right. I should have paid more attention. Yeah. So the spectrum is from Bonner and several others to those who said, "Man, you were right. I wish I could speak Spanish today." I said, "Well, 3 words a day, and in a year you got 1,500."
Listen up. That's right.
Doesn't take a whole lot.
It's
Just
those
a little bit.
basics. I know. I wish folks can go online to carolinapeople.com to see your trips with us there at CCAR and to hear you talk about power naps, which is a great one. I'm sorry we've run out of time, but what's continuing to drive you, Larry? Keep you focused on working to get everyone in Conway working together, obviously at Coastal Carolina and folks in other countries following a similar path.
Well, I think it's the importance of a noble goal to make your community a better place. Whether it's in the neighborhood you live in, or the city you live in, or the county you live in, or the state you live in, or the country you live in, or whether it be the U.S. or Canada or Costa Rica. To do that, we've got to grow people. So, my noble goal is to grow others.
That's a great goal.
Inside out.
Yeah, and I'm sorry we've run out of time, Larry. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
My honor.
Keep up that goal. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Larry Biddle coming up next. I wish you'd been here off camera to hear Larry explaining the charrette, the process that went along to make this thing happen. The Conway charrette's for real. You'll have to come back. We didn't have time. We ran out of time. But you can take your time to meander the city of Conway. Go online to ConwayMainStreetUSA.com and discover this tremendous river hospitality of the home of Myrtle Beach, Conway, South Carolina. Larry Biddle, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.